Hi everybody, thank you for joining us for the Taste of Downtown Holiday Edition. My name is Andrew from Made by Millworks. I'm being joined by Avis, so you all can meet the maker. Ra is a talented poet, a publisher, and she runs a local apparel and accessory company. Hi Ra.
Hi.
So since we're meeting the maker, we're just going to talk to her. How'd you get your start?
Well, I have two different companies out here for Long Beach. One is a publishing company and one is an apparel company. And the publishing company started when I wrote a book of poetry and pitched it out to places and just didn't like the terms. I think when you're a independent writer and you're doing local events and you want to have some control over the types of places your work goes or the types of editing that is required within the work. Really, I mean, you're kind of short on options when it comes to the big presses. So I started my own, and I'm a blogger, so a lot of the people in my immediate world are amazing writers, and that kind of kickstarted this collection of books. The apparel company was a little bit more simple than that. I wanted a shirt. I live on Retro Row, and I like that angle of Long Beach. I like Made with its, eclectic colors and kind of like this timelessness. I love the timelessness of Long Beach, and I didn't see a Long Beach brand that really captured that aspect. I definitely saw, an athletic and a college aspect, and all those things are hugely a part of what Long Beach is, and beautiful. But I really wanted you could have just bought this off a vintage rack in Retro Row, and so I partnered with my friends, who's a very talented graphic designer, and sketched things out for them, and he somehow made it into shirts like magic, and then I did the rest. So yeah, that's how they began.
Do you have any advice for anyone else that wants to get something like this started, whether it's directly related or not?
Yeah, it sounds so simple, but it's just kind of start. There's a quote by Arthur Ashe that I love. It's start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. I think a lot of times we compare ourselves to larger industries and we think like, there's no way I have that capacity. For instance, when the apparel company started, I was recovering from a series of mini strokes. When y'all met me, I had my cane and many times came in, hospital bandaged and things. And you have limited capacity. And so you just work with that, and you work with people who are willing to work with that. Finding a good team is so critical. Both, not just like your executive team, but the companies you work with, the retail shops, the events you agree to go to, all those types of things. When you consider yourselves all a part of a team, I think it's much easier for small businesses to get that leg up.
Great, that's wonderful advice. We at Made definitely think of ourselves as a team here, but also everyone we work with as well. So this is just kind of nitty gritty, but on a typical week, about how many hours are you spending on your businesses? Or your poetry, since that's part of your business as well.
That's true. I spend about 20 to 30 hours a week, and that's mostly because the pandemic has slowed everything down enough that it's part-timeable.
Right.
Usually it's pretty much a full-time job.
And what kind of other jobs did you do before getting into this?
Until they got started, I still did those heavily, but I'm a programmer, so
okay.
I've been programming for a long time now, and I love my job. I think programming is another form of creating things from the ground up. I know most programmers wouldn't want to be called crafters, but it is a very similar field. You are basically taking a bunch of scraps of things and you're creating something usable, and that's what we do with ideas and poems that are all over the place. We put them together in a book that somebody else can understand.
And how do you envision your brand growing?
Well, I would love to see more books in terms of the publishing company, and a wider array of authors and different experiences. I have a few children's books, and I would love to see that particularly expand. One of the issues facing the children's publishing world right now is that I believe it's like 90% of authors are white, and the illustrators are maybe like 70% white. And while that's fine, and obviously children's books, there are many people like me who have been entirely formed by the children's books I read. I still cite them as my most favorite things. I think it's also important to see other stories and other names and other cultures, and I think that's just a matter of getting people who are familiar with those worlds to write them. So I would love to focus more on that. And I also think kids nowadays are prepared for and aware of different social justice issues that weren't really as prevalent when we were growing up. I mean, they were definitely there in the world, but they weren't prevalent in our classrooms and on our TVs and things. And now they are, and I would love to have something that reaches children who are interested in those things. So
wonderful. All right, so getting a little away from the business, but we all are all about the local. What's your perfect day when you're out and about locally?
Well, we're lucky to have perfect Long Beach weather, 90% of the time. So one of those days. But I love the MOLA. I could spend days there. I know it's a small museum, but the garden is so peaceful, and even like the gift shop always has new things and small little knickknacks, and they rotate the art significantly. But I find that every time I go, I see something different. I also love Retro Row, just going up and down there. Week to week, everything is different because the nature of the businesses. A lot of them are thrift or finding or craft or vintage shops, and the variety of things you get to see are so diverse. So I love that.
Excellent. Any special food recommendations, places you've been loving lately?
Oh, Long Beach is also blessed with good food. There's pretty much no street you can go to that doesn't have something. I love the Socialist. I call it my living room because it's so close to where I live. And I eat there probably, too much. But I guess that would be my pick.
So, do you work from home? Do you work from an office? A little bit of both?
I work from home, but my home is built out because as a programmer I did freelance too. I have a section for work, the work area. So it's a little office within the house.
So, my office is chaos, I'm going to be honest. Chaos or super neat and tidy?
Super neat and tidy. I try to keep things as organized as possible. The publishing team and the apparel team are different people, so just keeping that separate and organized makes it easier for everybody, I think, and also for me because there's a lot of different projects going on.
So when you're working, do you need silence, or do you listen to something? Do you have the TV on the background? What are you doing when you're working?
I work in total silence. I have noise-canceling headphones that I turn on like a serial killer with nothing playing, just sit there in silence and do my work. But I know that isn't the popular choice. Everyone I know wants to have music going, but I prefer if there's nothing going on in my head besides, all the thoughts.
Yeah, I totally understand. I go back and forth personally.
That makes sense.
And then is there something you would like to eliminate from your daily schedule to just open up more space for working on your creative ventures?
This year it's been health issues. I would love to, have less doctor appointments and all those types of things because they do take up a lot of time. And the retail shops I work with and other teams of people that I work with have all been really flexible about my limitations. But I'm excited to enter a healthier phase of life where that isn't a part-time job in and of itself.
Now for a little something philosophical. What holds more value for you? Creativity or knowledge, or just myself thinking about when I've had the pleasure of hearing you do spoken word and poetry before, experience or experiences?
They're so tangled together because creativity without knowledge is like, an idea that doesn't get off the floor. Maybe like a hot air balloon or something that you can't mechanically make work. Knowledge is so critical to that. And experiences are how what you gain from that, and also what leads you into those creativities. But I think if I had to put merit down on one or the other, I would put my money down on creativity winning the race if we were, between all three.
Right. And then do you feel like people need formal training or a mix?
Not at all. I went to a bunch of fancy schools, but not for what I ended up doing with my life, with programming or anything else. And I get that question a lot in the tech field, and I just learned it's something you can learn, I promise you guys. And all these things are so available now. The knowledge is so rife all over the internet. A quick search will give you some pretty good tips. And more than that, I think more and more people are coming to the idea of a community team concept. Like if someone has questions about apparel or publishing, my email is public. They're welcome to reach out. I'm not in competition with my other publishers. We're just trying to represent independent books.
That's wonderful to hear. All about community, which is something we're very proud of as well here. And now just for the fun one. If you could move to any other place in this universe, or any other, or any time period, where would you go and why?
I love the idea of space, and so I sort of lean towards that, but I think if I'm being really honest, in terms of personality type, it would probably be Sesame Street. I like cities, I like kind of the chaos of things like that, and as much as I love the idea of space, I would probably be very sad to look outside and not see anything. I lived on a farm once and I'm good, I want to see all the wild things that happen in a city. But also Sesame Street kind of tones it down, so it's like happy, fluffy city.
Yeah.
It's the best of both worlds. So.
All right, who's your favorite Sesame Street character?
Grover.
Grover. Okay,
Yeah.
Totally. I get it. I've always been a fan of the Count, but
Oh, that makes sense. He's adorable too. Grover's just so wonky, I think. It's hard not to love. So.
And he's got his fingers in almost everything.
And sometimes he's super Grover.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Just so everyone knows, both Silver Star Labs Publishing and Silver Star Apparel are available here at Made by Millworks, both in-store and online. We would like to thank you all so much for joining us, with a special thank you to the DOBA for giving us this forum, and Michelle Molina, our owner, for everything she does for our store, our organization, our staff, and our makers, and our community for that matter. This year we've learned how critical it is to shop local. When you shop at Made, you are supporting over 100 local vendors like Rob.
Like me.
Every dollar you spend stays right here in our community. So please join us on Small Business Saturday, November 28th, to enjoy a new art show by Luis Sanchez and support your neighbors. Throughout this holiday season, Made is continuing to offer multiple ways for you to shop. You can shop in-store, where masks and social distancing are enforced combined with regular sanitation, or you can shop online with free local delivery, free curbside pickup, and affordable shipping options. Finally, our sister bar, Eleanor, does have its great selection of hyper-local and woman-owned beer, wine, and ciders available to go. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok for all of your updates. Thank you for supporting your community, your friends, and your neighbors.